a heartfelt welcome to the 107th solo episode. I'm Esther Buerki, the passionate author, Living Without Fear, a book that has touched many lives, and the co-creator of the Amazon bestseller Inspire Journeys. If you're here to explore new possibilities and find inspiration, you're absolutely in the right place. If today's episode resonates with you or someone you know, please share it. Let's spread the message of hope together. Subscribe to my newsletter, join me on YouTube, and leave a review or sprinkle some stars. Your support means the world to me, and I'm deeply thankful for each of you. And today I'd like to share with you my journey with my family. It's a journey with a lot of challenges, and I struggled a lot. But I want to be raw and authentic, and by being this, I hope I might help you in some way with your story with your family. And the main characters in today's story are my brother and me. He is 4 years younger, but this doesn't play a role at all. If you have siblings and you have issues with them, this episode might be for you, but you might also be triggered by friends. So please stay and listen. So my brother and I had to communicate much more in the last year and month. Before, we didn't talk a lot. We wrote to each other a few times a year. We talked on the phone once a year or every 2 years. But he lives only an hour drive from my place. But we don't have anything in common except our parents. And that was the topic we needed to talk about. First, my mom, almost 90, broke her leg. My dad, 90 as well, was alone in their big house. Then my mom broke her other leg and didn't recover anymore and needed a lot of help until she passed away just recently. Before, I have moved my father to the elderly home, and when my mom was dying, my brother went on a long beforehand planned trip. So I was there alone when she passed away, and I organized almost everything which came with it, and I had to handle my father's grief and his inability to show emotions, but anger towards me. And I had to deal with my own grief in the past few weeks. I loaded a lot on my shoulders, while my brother had much less due to his travels. But when he came back, we needed to communicate a lot. And except for the first call, it triggered a lot in me. I didn't feel seen, I didn't feel loved, and I didn't like the way he treated me and how he talked to me. And it could be that he might felt exactly the same, but we never talked about it. And when we started talking about my mom's heritage, I felt so many negative feelings towards him, and I knew there must be something I need to work on, because I don't want those feelings. Just a side note, in Switzerland, the heritage doesn't go 100% to the husband or wife, but only half of it, and the other half goes to the children and needs to be divided between my brother and me. So my natural response was, I want to get this thing called heritage behind me as fast as possible, and then rarely talk to my brother again. But after my mom's funeral, I have told my 2 sons that I want to be at peace also with my brother before I leave this world. I don't want to continue the story of my parents, who both didn't have a good relationships with their siblings. And I know I can do it. Years ago, I never thought it would be possible to love my parents. And I imagined back then that I would always regret that I didn't make peace with them when they passed away. But I managed it. I don't have any regrets at all thinking of my mom. If you're there where I was in the past with my parents, I know how difficult it must be for you. But trust me, you can get to be in peace as well. I'm such a good example, and I really hated my parents. So let's work on it together. What helps me with my brother when I don't feel treated nicely? I say to myself, the way he treats me, the same way he talks to himself. And in this case, he isn't very nice to himself. And I try to imagine how it must be in his shoes. I would not like to change at all, because I have learned during the last years to talk to myself in a loving manner. I talk to my inner child who has been hurt a lot, and I comfort this little child in me. And I'm sure people around me can feel this. So I need to send love to my brother instead of blaming him. Well, this is easier said than done, believe me. Every interaction with him are triggering some unwanted feelings within me. But I don't want them to take over. I don't want them to spoil my day. I don't want them to make me sick. I want to resolve this before it manifests in my body. This morning, after the meditation, I remembered the powerful Hawaiian prayer called Ho'oponopono, and I started writing down the words many times. I'm sorry. Please forgive me. Thank you. I love you. First, I didn't believe in those words, but the longer I kept them writing down, I felt relief. I felt more peaceful. Because I remembered I didn't always treat my brother nicely. There had been 2 situations in the past where I didn't make him feel seen or understood. I reacted to him feeling like the one and only authority in our story. I did exactly the same as my father often did, and what I hated so much. And I guess my brother also felt triggered by me, and it is very possible that he reacted to me the same way as a consequence of what I did to him. And if no one is interrupting this pattern, it will go on forever. But I made this firm decision that I'm the one who will interrupt it. I will be a good example in the future to handle the situation differently, because I want to be at peace with my family no matter what. And I'm sure this is possible. So I keep on saying the Hawaiian prayer. I'm sorry. I treated you poorly. Please forgive me. Thank you. I love you, brother. Even if this phrase, I love you, doesn't come easily, even if it seems a bit odd, I will keep on saying it. Why? I remember the healing journey with my mom and my dad, didn't happen in 1 week or month. It took me a few years to get there where I am today. I took a lot of tiny steps toward them. Sometimes I fall back a few to move forward again. It was a long process, but it all started with the simple thought that they would have done better if they had been able to do it. And I know how they have been treated by their parents and how their parents didn't learn any better from their parents. And no one until here did interrupt the pattern. Little by little, I could see their wounded inner child, that child who hasn't been seen, heard, and understood. It was so wounded that my mom and my dad couldn't give me the love I would have needed. Do you follow? And I need the same healing process with my brother. He never felt seen, heard, and understood by our parents. He probably suffers as much as I did. Because years ago, he followed a cult and he didn't speak or interact with us, my parents and me. He didn't respond to our messages. He was offline for 10 long years. Now, he is still very engaged in some church, but he doesn't try to convince me about his religious beliefs. The fact that he needed a 10-year break from the family says everything. That's why I need to break the generational pattern and continue to be a good example for the fact that love is possible within a family, even among siblings. It's a mission I want to take on, no matter what. I know it will be challenging for me, but I believe if I take tiny steps and if I give myself time to change it, it will happen. For sure. To recap the steps. First, imagine the other person is doing the same or worse to themselves. It's not only about you. Second, imagine the other person has experienced the same thing by their parents and they didn't learn to do better. Third, repeat the Ho'oponopono whenever you feel angry and you want to act out your emotions. I'm sorry. Please forgive me. Thank you. I love you. If you need help with this process, let me know. If you said now, I really want to feel at peace with my family, get in touch with me. I'm very grateful to guide you because I've done this process. Also, if this episode touched you, I'd love to hear from you. You can share your thoughts on Instagram, YouTube, or per email. Thank you, dear listener, for spending your precious time with me. You're amazing, and you're a gift to everyone who crosses your path. If no one has told you this today, let me say it again. You're worthy, you are loved, and you matter. Have an amazing day, and I'll talk to you next week.